Did I make it? I made it. All right. Welcome to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw. With me are my co-hosts, Matthew Aguilar and Janelle Wheeler. What's up, guys?
Hi. Good morning.
I had to switch to Ethernet in the middle of our intro, so I didn't know if I was going to drop, but I made it. I surfed the wave and I made it, so here we are. All right, this week we are in the midst of summer and we have two new movies out. It is 28 years later, and I can actually talk about F1 this week, so we're going to talk about those films. But I'm the only one who got out to the theater to see those, so we have a lot of other stuff to talk about. Some big stuff on the geek news front we're going to get into on both the Marvel and the DC side. And, of course, we have a bunch of Match Agenda stuff to catch up on this week. So let's just, without further ado, this show is Lean, Mean, Geek Machine. So let's get into it. Up top, we got a big report about Marvel and what's on the horizon. Janelle, why don't you fill us in? What's going on there?
Yes. So Marvel's X-Men Reboot has a director, and MCU fans should be happy. I love that I'm reading directly from your article because it's well written. But yes, MCU fans should be happy about this director because we had a lovely, most people enjoyed Thunderbolts. This is Jake Schreier. I hope I'm saying it correctly. And he is the director of the X-Men Reboot, which I think has gotten a lot of questions about what they're going to do and a lot of pressure because this is the official, soft reboot of the MCU. This is where, and this is like my favorite thing that you've ever said, Kofi, is that all of the universe's characters are playing in the same sandbox. Like, that's going to be so cool because we've been waiting for this.
That's the favorite thing I've ever said.
I love it. They're playing in the sandbox together. I love that.
I've said so much better stuff than that. So disappointing. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like that's cab. I feel like that's
one of my favorites.
I feel like that's just a Janelle. This is just a Janelle fluff compliment.
No, I really
not at
love
all.
it. When I read it in your article, I giggled.
Well, that's what it takes out here. Sure.
You also use really big words that are just too complex for my little brain. I'm just kidding.
No, stop it. All right, let's stop. Stop the cap. Yeah. Stop the cap. I love. We're gonna let you get it off. Yes, you are a humble, complimentary co-host. That's truly the dynamic here.
That's my role.
All right. Anyway, but yes. We are getting, but it is true. That is kind of what we are looking at. And it's been no secret. We've talked about it extensively on this podcast. So it's no secret that we always figured this was coming, that we're getting Avengers Doomsday. We're getting Avengers Secret Wars, but Secret Wars was always kind of a signal flare that we are getting a soft reboot of the MCU because that's what a Marvel Secret Wars event is. It's kind of like what DC is to Crisis, is this big thing that acts as a reset button for the universe. So you can essentially reshape the universe. And so, when we had, the 2010 Secret Wars, which a lot of these movies are based on, that was Marvel's way of cleaning up a lot of the mess because we had all these alt realities that were competing with each other. Miles Morales and Bendis' Spider-Man were kind of in the Ultimate Universe, kind of taking the spotlight away. And it was just like, hey, we need all these toys in the one sandbox. So we had Secret Wars. We mashed everything together. And then when everything got reset, hey, there's Miles. He's in the main universe. Like, now we get everything lined up. So the MCU is clearly doing the same thing. I long ago, because there were little trickles of production clues that Marvel was really kind of gearing up for something in 2028. I wrote a whole spec piece saying, pulling together a lot of strands and basically saying, is this our first sign? And this was last fall. So I was doing this last fall and saying, it pretty much looks like this is where Marvel is planting its stakes quietly to launch X-Men movie in 2028. Turns out I was right, of course. Been doing this a long time. I'm no slouch at this. So we now know that's exactly what's probably going to happen. We're going to get this 2028 X-Men movie. It's one of 4 movies we are getting in 2028 from Marvel Studios. So they have added another date. I think we had an late winter, early spring date, a summer date, a fall date, and then now we even have like an end of the year date too. So we getting 4 movies, and definitely one of them's X-Men. And they just offhandedly mentioned in this Variety article of just kind of talking about what Marvel's new release slate looks like for 2028. They're like, oh yeah, and Jake Schreier also is officially in the director's chair for X-Men.
It's like a big deal, and they just
and even over
in there.
A good old comic book, not to throw my coworkers under the bus, but like everybody was just like, okay. And it was just like a thud. And I was like, guys, can we probably say something? And they were like, And I was like, oh my God. So I had to Thanos up like I always do. I'll do it myself. And then I had to write the article, which is still climbing the charts, by the way, guys. Just to let you know. Article climbing the charts because, yes, this is a thing that's important to the masses. To the people who don't watch this show every week.
This. Yeah.
Yes,
like when
this is what they've been waiting to hear.
I loved him directing Beef. Beef was one of my faves. And I was actually really kind of nervous though, because I didn't know how that would translate to like superhero content. And so I'm thrilled with how Thunderbolts came out. Absolutely loved it. And so this just gives me tons of confidence in Marvel right now. And I really need that.
And I put this in my article, like, we do this a lot because we're that type of society, but it can't be understated that Jake Schreier did Beef and Thunderbolts with a partner who is Joanna Kahlo, who, like we've talked about on here, is the showrunner of The Bear, did BoJack Horseman, is one of the main people involved with Hacks, the continuously Dark Horse award-sweeping HBO hit. So, like, I think while we're hearing Jake Schreier, what I'm really waiting to see is if they're doing it with him and Joanna Kahlo, because I that's the only way I believe this X-Men movie is if she's involved. After watching all the things she's done with like messed up people trying to come together and do stuff, that's essentially what The Bear is. That's a lot of what BoJack is. It's a lot of like what Hacks is about, like these very kind of talented but frayed characters who are trying to like get together or fix these bonds that are like messed up in their lives and all of that stuff. That's X-Men, right? So we need that. And yeah, but I think it's a good choice. If he can do it with Thunderbolts, we have 2 things. We have the example of Thunderbolts with D-level characters in making that interesting and giving them, you know, gravitas and their interactions being fun. And we have X-Men 97 as a test run for what this generation of MCU fans who were raised on the Iron Mans and the Captain Americas of it all and only know those Fox films as this kind of lightweight cheese. What do they want to get out of an X-Men experience? And so X-Men 97 kind of was a good test run. They can handle the drama, the messiness, you know, the weirdness. Like, they're in for that. So
and not only can they handle it, they embrace it. Right?
Yeah, like, exactly. They get it. Yeah. So I think with those things on the table, I think Kevin Feige has smartly kind of crowdsourced this and been like, all right, here's where we need to strike. I want it to be bright. I want it to be colorful. I even want to see them in those blue and yellow outfits at some point.
Blue and yellow.
Like let's start out there. But
blue and yellow.
Yeah, I'm excited. The casting that I'm seeing, these are all young talents. The guy playing Cyclops, who was in Baby Girl, he was in Murder at the End of the World or whatever that show was called. He's been in a lot of things. He's really talented. Like, everybody here that I'm seeing is talented. So let's get messy, man. Let's get weird.
That, and I saw in the comments, I think it was Judon Foster was, is it a little asking if it's a little concerning that Thunderbolts didn't do well in the theaters? I enjoyed it, but like, is that we're taking essentially, hopefully, the same team and putting them on what is essentially Marvel's biggest upcoming property, right? Because I mean, outside of like Secret Wars and those 2 Avengers, Doomsday and stuff, X-Men is the future, right? That's what this is built on, and I think it's smart. I actually like. This is one of those things where sometimes yes, something doesn't go your way, but if the team was correct, you don't mess it up. This goes for the NBA, the NFL. Sometimes you don't have something happens and you get knocked out of the playoffs or whatever. But if the core team was good, you don't break it up, right? And that was never the problem. Thunderbolts got good reviews. Thunderbolts was praised for its handling of an ensemble cast. They can do all that. So I like that. Yes, the movie didn't end up kind of breaking the bank, but I dig it. I like that you keep it together.
I think normally that's true. You should ask poor Tom Thibodeau if he feels the same way after getting dumped by the New York.
You're talking about the Knicks. That is the most dysfunctional, like other than the Chicago Bears. That's the most dysfunctional.
Tom Thibodeau's listening to this like, I don't know, bro. Sometimes you do well and they still cut you.
They should have totally kept that.
I mean, if we're going to talk about that, we could talk about Carlos Sainz and F1 getting cut from Ferrari.
This is the grenade. You never know. You never know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Killing it. The only one to beat Max Verstappen, and they get rid of him.
Yeah, success. They still cut your throat even when you're successful sometimes, you know? So you never know.
Firmly in the Mike Tomlin should stay because us Steelers fans don't know what plummeting really is until he leaves and then takes all that success with him. I am there. Like I like that we brought them back because they can do this. We've seen it. And also, you know, it's not like it made peanuts. It just didn't make a bill.
No, I was joking, but no, we should not be concerned. Look, Thunderbolts was very successful for what it was. You're talking about reheating the D leftovers of the MCU into a movie, right? Like, Florence Pugh's a star, yes, but again, Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan have never opened a movie huge. They are not like solidified movie stars in the classic Tom Cruise, Denzel sense. They've never opened like a multi-million-dollar movie. All of their things are art house or like modest earners and things like that. So nobody on that marquee was a movie star. Nobody. Also, you're talking about a movie that inherently requires you to see multiple MCU projects to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So you're already aiming a project that's for the diehards, not for the masses. The masses have no idea who most of these people are. You have to remember the Disney Plus viewership compared to theatrical viewership is like comic book viewership readership compared to TV viewership. They're like, it's a sliding scale every time. Mm-hmm. So none of these people really knew who the Thunderbolts were. None of the stars are movie stars who can just draw people. Florence Pugh was the strongest.
It still did pretty great, though.
That's what I'm saying. You have to say these things in context and nuance.
Yeah.
Also, the thing that we always are tiptoeing around here is I have a 6-year-old kid. This is just turned 7. He's a 7-year-old boy. He loves the MCU. I tried to take him to say Brave New World. It was so boring for him. We nearly fought the whole time because he couldn't sit still in a seat because he could not. It was like the Hulk fight at the end was like when he in the Navy ship battle was the only times that kid cared about that movie. And I was like, wow, this really is a dud.
Feels.
Yeah, and that's when I knew. I was like, this is a dud. Like, really a dud. Because my 7-year-old son can't even, like, get into this. Because it's too much political intrigue, you know. Thunderbolts, I didn't even think about taking him to. Because of the subject matter, the depression, the you know, all of that stuff is super duper dark and serious and not in a horror way. But just in a way you're not exposing a kid to. You're not going to start telling them about suicide and depression and all of this dark stuff going on in this movie. So I didn't even take it to him to see it. And I don't even think I want to let him see it immediately. I have to think about that when it's on Disney Plus because of all the Sentry stuff at the end and, you know, vaporizing people. Like, that stuff is dark. And so, so Thunderbolts should not have worked at all. No major movie stars, D-list characters requires a bunch of MCU homework, and it's dark and about dark, depressing subject matter. It's not a happy, fun film in that sense. And so the fact that it hit this strongly and that the team behind Beef was able to turn it into anything is a miracle to me. Like, and they made an actual story out of it that's like compelling and has an arc to it. Like, we haven't seen that in the MCU in a long time. Like, it's just, it was what it was. But I didn't think that was going to be $1 billion earner. I never did. I thought so for what it made, I think it did well. And I think most importantly, it was a sign that the MCU can actually do different things and offer us a movie that's different, but within the confines of this superhero universe. There's still hope. So, I'm good with it. And I think if you give the same team a bunch of marquee characters, we're not going to be doing actors here. Like I'm sure they'll get a couple big actors to bolster it, but it's going to be a young cast. But these are marquee characters like Cyclops, Wolverine. If they get Gambit, like whatever they do, it's going to be a lot more reason for people to jump in.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Well said.
Sorry, I blacked out there. All right, now back to the show. What about these other 4 movies? Anybody? I mean, I think we're going to get some sequels. We already heard Fantastic Four 2 is already in the mix. And so that's going to be, I think, one of them, maybe. Because what is it now? 2025? Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And I think that they have to kind of continue that. We also know there's Black Panther 3 is in the works, in the background, kind of happening. There's things that we're less sure about, like whatever the hell is happening with Doctor Strange ever being in that dark dimension and whatever's going on with that franchise. I'm not sure about any of these kind of old franchises anymore, but
man, I really want Clea.
Well, we're getting Spider-Man before that. Yeah, I was just trying to see. But I would say for 2028, you got to have X-Men. That's got to be a thing, right? You maybe got to figure out where the Fantastic Four are in this new kind of status quo. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a sequel kind of establishing that. I think Black Panther will be a thing just to get Ryan Coogler out of here and just kind of close that off and set that up for something new in the status quo. And I wouldn't be surprised if we still get something like a Young Avengers project or something like that to kind of signal in because I think you have to do some kind of overarching project about like the Avengers of it all. And I think this one first will probably be a younger generation before we get into something older. But that's just my guess.
That's the one I think probably has the most promise as far as like actually happening, is that Champions, Young Avengers, that kind of thing, because you can cobble together so many of those characters that you have been working on together in one place. Like it actually has the kind of kitchen sink thing of like, oh yeah, bring them in here. Like it has almost like the Thunderbolts type aspect to it, where you can put a bunch of people together that either aren't doing anything, aren't involved in something else. And there's a lot of those kind of stragglers right now out in the MCU because their sequels or their projects. I Shang-Chi 2, I see getting debated in the comments. Like there's, like those things are, there's so much has shifted. It's really murky right now to kind of get a beat on what 2 or 3 of those movies even are, if they're not X-Men related. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of hard to peg that down because right now so many characters are just, I don't know if, are we going to see a Cumberbatch return to Doctor Strange?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know about all
I used
that,
to think it was a slam dunk. Like I thought, they're going to do that, close that out. And right now, I don't know. It just feels like.
Yeah, I feel like there's a huge part we're not talking about where we're talking about like X-Men. But we're talking about X-Men recastings and all this stuff. But there is a massive potential for Secret Wars to do an entire swath of recastings. Yes. Like we get a new Tony Stark, a new Doctor Strange.
What?
Like there's
no.
What? Yeah, we're getting new Wolverines, new Cyclopses.
So I'm like, nope, nah, nada.
This is like the How You Train Your Dragon thing. Bunch of Gen, the older Gen Zers, and getting in their feelings about their stuff getting remade. Welcome to the party, pal. Like your childhood will get wiped out and paved over for new dollars. Like, yeah. So I could see like major recastings up and down the MCU at the end of Secret Wars, and that would arguably be one of the biggest kind of twist, shock, surprises of that film. It's like, somebody's doing a voiceover at the end. It's just like, yeah, we meet somebody playing a new Doctor Strange and stuff. So we're going to see.
Jay Jones has my favorite comment right now, which is Young Avengers looking like the Stranger Things cast at this point.
Oh, yeah. No, they've been ragging on Young Avengers. Our comments have been out of control. Everybody's saying they're going to be looking, they're going to be acting 12, looking damn near 35. People are just going in on this Young Avengers concept, which is true. Haley Steinfeld's going to be like 2 kids deep by the time this movie gets made.
You should do Champions. That's why don't even worry about it. Don't even just ditch it. Get rid of that. Do Champions. It can be its own team. It's not tied to, number one, the disassociation of Kang, all that stuff. Just get rid of it. There's nothing to me beneficial to bringing that concept into the MCU anymore. There was at one time. There is not now. There's no reason. Just do Champions, and that way the team lineup can be ever changing. When you get like characters like Nova in, when you get Miles in, you can bring them into the fold. It's easy. Don't make it hard on yourself. I did see someone mention Blade, and I don't know what the hell is ever going to happen with that movie. I think that's done. I think
Slayers is as close. Sinners is as close to Blade as you're getting. Guy.
I think that go see Sinners. If
you're gonna go see Sinners, or you can watch it at home now. Watch Sinners. That's as close to Blade as you're going to get. Yeah, but no, I think there's no way in hell Bob Iger is ever greenlighting a Champions movie. They're going to be Champions. It's going to be called Young Avengers.
That's fine, but I think you're shooting yourself in the foot with
the concept
that connotates. And
no, we've lost the comics. Yeah, we're past the comics now.
The mainstream won't care, but they won't care about the mainstream. Won't care about whatever it's named. It just matters that it's good and that the characters are enough to get them in. Thankfully for that movie, I think, I don't know. I mean, Haley Steinfeld's a pretty big star. She's pretty big attraction.
Oh, after Sinners, she's out of here.
I think that movie has a bankable lead star in it as opposed to other things. So, yeah.
No. If they do this right, depending on who they cast, if like Miles is in it and all that stuff, we out of here. But Haley Steinfeld's out of here, right? That's why they got to get this going now, because she is like Sinners just put her on a whole other trajectory.
Do it.
All right. So, man, is this still? Where are we in this? Oh, we still in our first topic.
Yeah, we still in the first.
Wow. See, I knew not to add too much. I knew this was going to be a deep dive into things, and you're going to hit several grenades. But yeah, no, I want to see. I think for 2028, MCU to come out strong is they've got to launch 2 and provide 2 really good sequels that reestablish a new status quo. So if you get the Champions, Young Avengers movie, X-Men, Black Panther 3, and Fantastic Four 2, I think that's a solid lineup. Because, I think the Fantastic Four is going to be key because they're going to be in this new universe, but they're going to be the ones who are not necessarily happy about it. You know what I mean? Like they could be the ones who are helping mop up the rest of the epilogue of the multiverse and whatever. I want to see some future foundation. I want to see it all. So let's do that. Again, we have to do the Black Panther thing because we got to get that solved quick. We got to compensate for like what happened with Chadwick. Are we getting a new Black Panther? I mean, people looking at F1 being like, Damson Idris still looking like he could be kingly over there. Like, we don't know. So once he gets a little bit more age and a bulk up in a couple of years, we'll see. Yeah. And then we've done the rest. We talked about the other two. So let's see what's going on. I also got to see, how Spider-Verse resolves, what they do with Miles. There's a lot on the board here, a lot of moving pieces, but I'm excited. I'm feeling that tingle. I'm hoping Fantastic Four has a bunch of surprises for us. The movie, and I'm beginning to hear some rumors and beginning to think some things that make me think it could. I think there's a lot of speculation that they're lying to us straight up, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom could actually have a much bigger place in this film, which I think would make the most sense. Kind of getting that foundation between him and Reed is, I think, important for Secret Wars and Doomsday, and kind of establishing who he was in their world, could be really important. Even if it's a different Doom or something like that, I think we need that because, again, the trailers are showing us so little. Like, it's just showing us the Fantastic Four family, but very little about this world they're in and like what it's about and who else has anything to say about this, Galactus coming to eat the planet. So I'm hoping that'll be some surprises, but right now, yeah. All right, let's move on and hop the fence. Matt, what's going over there in DC? Why don't you help us solve the Batman problem? What's going on here?
Man, I think we talked about this like a couple of weeks ago where I was like, it's insane to me that the foundational characters in DC Studios, the one that's causing all the grief is Batman, as opposed to the other way around. It's typically the other way around. And James Gunn has been on the press tour for Superman. And while we've got a lot of information on Superman, which is a lot of it very promising, he's also been talking about Batman and the Batman 2 and all these other things that are in production and development. And one of the first things that came up was Matt Reeves, the turn-in of this script, which was rumored initially to be Memorial Day, but he debunked that, saying that was never the case. Though he did also add that the Matt Reeves script for the Batman 2 is expected within the month. So I was like, okay, well, that's promising. But then he also went into what is probably one of my favorite quotes and saying people should get off Matt's nuts, because
I just read that and I had to read it again. I was like, did we put that in there? And it's like, no, he said it. People
should get off Matt's nuts, because it's like, let the guy write the screenplay in the amount of time he needs to write it. That's just the way it is. He doesn't owe you something because you like his movie. I mean, you like his movie because of Matt, so let Matt do things the way he does. I think that's a great quote. That's a fantastic quote.
I do too, also, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Like, I do not buy it.
What don't you buy, though? I'm curious.
I think there's a lot more push-pull behind the scenes between Gunn and Reeves than Gunn's out here trying to do the Kevin Feige thing where he's like, I'm protecting my guy, but I really don't think this is true. We have the strands of evidence. We know that Matt Reeves came into the Batman with a whole universe in his head he was imagining. Spin-offs, all this stuff. Definitely a part 2 idea. I'm pretty sure he had hatch. And all the years he took him to get the first film made. And then he has been sitting around since what, 2022? Is that when the Batman came out? Was it 2022 or 2023?
Oh my God.
I can't remember.
2023.
And then the Penguin came out last year.
It's 2022. Yeah, the Batman was 2022.
Gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Long ago.
Dang, it feels
3
longer
years
than
is
me.
long ago.
Yeah, that feels
not for Reeves. It's not.
But I don't
really
think
not.
I do not believe he did not have some kind of story idea in the works for this. If he was making a part 2, I think DC Studios got announced in 2023, and that came with a whole bunch of mandates that said, F what you thought you had. Like, what if he had this sequel was about Clayface, for instance? Like, what if Clayface was a character in it or a major part of it? Like, Gunn comes in and all of a sudden now I think everything was put on hold. And I think Matt Reeves has gotten the unfavorable position of being told, oh yeah, you can write your script, but here's a list of 100 notes about what you cannot do because of these other plans we now have. And so it's like, get off the guy's nuts, let him write his script. But I think it's more like the guy's sitting there, and what's really chafing his nuts is having to write his script around all of these other mandates. That's just my take. I don't know any of these people. I don't know. But I've been covering this since this film came out, and I remember what Matt Reeves has said several times and what he indicated, and then how everything shifted after DC Studios arrived. He was talking up a storm before that. Now we hardly hear from him. And so I think, yeah, he's had to go back to the drawing board from where he was. And I think things keep shifting because nothing is set at DC Studios. I'm sure he had one draft and then the Clayface movie is announced and he's like, what the F? What now? So I think he's had to kind of try to keep recracking this script. At this point, I don't even know what his enthusiasm level is. Gunn says he's all psyched about it. I don't believe that until Matt Reeves comes out and says, I have an idea. I'm really psyched. We got this all lined up. I feel like it's more like he's been like, why am I being punished for success? Like, I've gotten a DC movie that made $700 million and has been a staying brand talking point. I also just made a successful TV show spin-off of it, like, that's kept us alive. Like, where's my accolades? And everybody's like, you're a problem now. Like, sit down. We got to figure this out. So I think all of this is going to be kick the ball down the road till Superman comes out. If Superman makes hella money, and more importantly, branding and merchandising wins, I think you're going to see Warner Brothers is going to see that money. They're going to look at the Batman, and you're going to hear some absurd thing happen. Like, hey, we're closing out the Batman universe with a streaming event series or something crazy like that. They're going to pay one upfront cost to keep this thing as a content block. I don't know if it'll be a theatrical release. I honestly don't. I think they could use it as a major, because it would be good for the new HBO Max to have something from that world to close it out. And then, the theatrical thing is going to be The Brave and the Bold with a bunch of action figures that come with it, because you can't merchandise the Batman. That's just the facts. Like, you cannot merchandise the Batman the way you want to. And that's the whole thing. It's like, there's just...
I don't know. I saw a ton of merchandise for the Batman, and it sold well.
How many toys from the Batman you buying for Ember?
I have 3 or 4. She has the Batmobile in her room.
Okay, fair enough.
Bravo, Matt.
I mean, no,
yeah, fair enough.
Bravo.
I believe you. I believe you. But I don't think kids at large even are aware of what the Batman is, like, because of how freaky and messed up it was. So,
yeah, now here's the difference, right? She has the stuff, and the stuff translates, like, toys translate differently, right? So, like, you can have the Batmobile, you can have the Batman figures, you can even have, some of the side character figures. Has she seen the movie? No. Will she see the movie for a while? No.
Yeah, that'll be those teenage things. I'm not around, and you're a teenager, and you put in you fire up the Batman one night when I'm out somewhere.
That's the disconnect, right? Is that I feel like what did Ben Affleck talk about? Like, my kid doesn't like to want to watch Batman. Like, there's other versions of Batman we can watch. She loves Batwheels. That's amazing, right? And she watches that all the time. And so, like, we're immersed in it, and toys and everything. But that's the disconnect, is that Superman, I think I can take her to, and we can watch that. I can't do that for the Batman. And I know I won't be able to do that for the Batman too. I can't do that for Penguin. Like, there is an element of that. Though I do kind of, I don't understand. I feel like we still treat this as if, like, two things can't coexist. And we've seen time and time again that that's actually not the case. Both things just have to be good. So when the Joker 2 comes out and spills the milk everywhere, and it's like, oh, well, that's terrible. But that's because that was terrible. When you have other things happening, the first Joker did quite well, was received quite well, and then existed in its own corner and just did its own thing, made a bunch of money, and then people moved on. Like, people get all caught up in the, oh my God, you can't have two Batmans at the same. Yes, you can.
Oh, I don't know. Right. I think we're past that. I actually think, and I want to write about that, I think we're out of that era. I think superhero movies have depreciated so much that the audience has said, like, unofficially, we're not keeping up with all this. Like, I don't think anybody's keeping up with two Batmans anymore. Like, I really don't think they can do that. I don't think you can have the Batman. I don't know. I don't think so.
They just have to be good. They just have to be good.
Truthfully, I don't love two Batmans. I will just say,
I think
as more of a casual viewer,
the average person is done with this. They're like, give me one Batman. Don't make this complicated. I don't want to do this.
Until the trailer comes out and it's good, and people go, oh, I want to see that.
And then
Batman.
It's good, and you're like, crap.
Who cares? I don't know. We talked about this with the Joker way back when. Mm-hmm. This like whole like people can't handle stuff mentality doesn't vibe.
They can't handle the truth.
If it's good, they don't know who half the cast of Thunderbolts is, and they still made it 400 million. Like, yes, like that's my point, is that it doesn't matter if it's good. People will see it, whether how many see it as you want, or if it does as well as it needs to. All that stuff is subjective and depends on the movie. It's a per movie thing. 2 Batmans, 2 Supermans. If they make an Elseworlds Red Sun and they don't have David Cornsweet and it's good, no one will care. They'll just go see that because it's good and people are talking about it. Like,
Yes,
bro, I made the
I will go
mistake.
see it. It's just
I made the mistake of going and just checking out and double checking Gunn's comments before we did this today. And so I went on Threads and kind of reread some of the quotes that these articles are being spun out of. I'm less confident than you guys. Like, I saw people flipping out. People are cursing out James Gunn on the daily every time something happens. So it was the Clayface movie, right? Mm-hmm. You should see the amount of comments that are either cursing James Gunn out because they can't tell which continuity this is and they're mad about it. Is this Matt Reeves? Is this DCU? What's the deal? What are the rules? How dare you? You said we're going to, all this stuff. They're already cursing about that, okay? Then there's the set of like people who are already more diehards who are cursing him out that this doesn't make sense because they saw Clayface die in Creature Commandos. Now what is this going to be? And blah, 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 blah. How is this continuity line up? What's the timeline? I'm far less confident than you guys in the audience. I think people are nuts.
But you're making the audience of Twitter, Threads, and even Blue Sky and Facebook.
You're right. That is not reality.
Audience, and that is not reality. I'm sorry. They will complain, and I include myself in this. By the way, I'm on here. We'll complain about anything that we don't understand or that we don't like. I'm sorry that I'm not gonna. The most of the I had a conversation about the DCU movies the other day. And like literally that conversation goes so differently than any kind of exchange on Twitter. And Twitter is a hellhole. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not even counting.
Oh, yeah, no. Twitter's a cesspool now.
Let's count like the actual
Twitter is a back alleyway now.
Say Blue Sky, because like you can actually have conversations on there. But like even that is still an internet super focused, also most times hyper fan. They're us. So like, or they're trolling so hard because everything sucks, and that bothers me too. It's like that snarky mentality to everything. I can't stand that crap. Anyway, suffice it to say, they're us. We can't say that we are the model. We're not. We're a small part of the model. If Superman makes, what is it, 135 million or 90 million or whatever, we make up a portion of that, but the majority is mainstream audiences that go, oh, that's Superman. That looks cool. They're not feeding into all this stuff. They're not reading every thread reply.
Yeah, I think, no, I agree with you in that sense, but I think it's different. Like, I think the average person is like my mom and dad. They're the kind of people who see movies all the time. But if I'm starting to tell them and there's a Batman movie coming out, they usually come to me and they're like, Kofi, what's this Batman movie? And I'm like, oh, well, this Batman movie it's attached to the Superman movie that just came out and blah, blah, blah. But it's not. But what about that other Batman movie? The one I saw on HBO that's like, oh, no, that's a whole separate universe. Like that one has a thing. It's in. By the time I'm in like 3 sentences of that, my parents have glazed over and they look for the next movie in the paper. Like, what's the next movie coming out? Right. Like it's as soon as I've had to start that, they glaze over real quick. And so I think there's a certain,
but I leave
element
all
of
that
that
crap out.
What's that?
Yeah.
I'm saying like, I think a lot of people we're getting to a point where franchise universes we're coming full circle, weirdly enough, right? These were little pockets of weirdos who loved things at first. Then it blew up into these big franchise, mainstream, geekish chic IPs that tried to bring in this much bigger tent of people. I think we're now coming back around to a place where people are so exhausted by the extensive over-release and oversaturation of superhero stuff, content, TV, movies, all that stuff, that there is a certain sector of mainstream people who are glazing over on that and are going back to things like big action movies, big premium movies, or original features that you need nothing, that are just standalone experiences. And that these franchise universes are once again condensing down to being, the subcultures that they used to be. And I think that's a process we're kind of seeing happen in real time. So so that makes me think like I would have agreed with you 2 years ago, even a year and a half ago, that Give me Joker 2 and give me a DCU Joker. And I think those two things can coexist. I'm not so sure anymore. And I don't know for certain. I'm just saying I'm not sure anymore. It's going to be interesting. This summer, I think, will tell us a lot. So let's see.
That's true. Wow. Well, there have been like 4 grenades.
Yeah. We are all over the place.
Yeah,
we are all. I mean, it's all over the place. Who knew? I thought this was going to be a nice, quick, simple show. We've gotten nowhere. All right. So what else do we have to talk about? So the Brave and the Bold. We're not hearing much about this Batman. We know Gunn is still developing his Batman and his kind of tease. Again, I don't think we are gonna hear anything about it until Superman comes out and we see what Superman is doing. So let's talk about that a little bit. Currently, Superman's tracking very well. Superman has already earned $10 million in pre-sales and ticket pre-sales. So before the movie has ever come out, it's already racked up 10 mil, which is good. Superman is tracking wonderfully right now. It's looking like it could even possibly beat Man of Steel when it opens domestically. Man of Steel opened to 116 million. Superman's looking like it could open to 135 million, according to current estimates. So more than that, it seems like the studio, we did the report like a week ago about the reshoot, or a couple weeks ago about, the reshoots and the new trailer and what all that is. The studio seems to be definitely moving forward with confidence in this one. They're showing stuff off, they're doing the full press stuff. I think they got a big premiere planned. Things are kind of moving. It's not happening already. Superman will be, it already looks like it's going to be somewhat of a success, at least for that initial launch and box office and becoming a cultural talking point and touchstone. How are you guys feeling about it? Do you have your tickets? Do you have faith? Are you worried? Because this is crunch time.
Yeah, I have full faith. I'm ready. I'm tired of I'm so sorry. I know this is what we're supposed to do. We're on a podcast, but I'm tired of hearing and talking about it. I just want to go see it. You know what I mean? I just want to have my impression and be able to enjoy or dislike and then react honestly about how I'm feeling, right? The buildup is just, it's been kind of frustrating because of the negativity some people have.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of negativity, but they're not stopping it. I think I'm keeping my eyes low to the ground. I saw my son stop in front of that marquee and be like, "Oh wow, Superman!" And the date's coming up. I'm going to see that. The kids are talking.
Yeah, it's
the kids
they're
are
looking
buzzing.
forward to it. Yeah.
And this is the difference. I think that second trailer really has knocked something loose in my head, where all in with this. Yeah, we're going to be adults who just are still kids type ish that we've been on in this generation. But no, it's time to stop. I'm mid 40s. I don't need anybody making a Superman movie for me anymore. I don't need one. I need my child
to
with that Superman movie. And I had my run, and my run's over. I don't need an adult Superman movie anymore.
But I escaping a little bit into
I
geared towards.
But that's the thing.
I need it.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to feel the thing that I felt when I was a little kid again. I want to feel, and I can't feel that myself. I want to feel that, through, if not, and you don't have to have a child for this, but just seeing the youth culture, once again, embrace that stuff. That's the real thing. You can't feed yourself. You gotta feed the youth. And watching them fly around and play Superman or play Lois Lane and all of that, that's what we need here. And I don't think that's being stated out loud enough. Superman is like Wu-Tang. It is for the children, and we need the kids to embrace this. If the kids embrace this, who cares what your fan threads are going to say? Nobody's going to care. It's going to be over, and it'll be over for the Snyderverse for real, guys. For real. because you guys will then sound like some old ass children yelling about your Superman.
They're like,
I know, but
they won't ever go away.
but like once you see them up against a generation of kids who are loving a new Superman, like it's time to just shut up after that. Like shut up, let the kids have their fun. I know they won't.
Are the evil
I know they
version
won't.
of Wall-E and the cockroaches. They are the mirror universe of those two. They will be here.
They're the Earth 3 fandom. Yeah, I know.
Her dying day.
Sad.
They're terrible. They're like just all Grinches, but they don't have the redeeming arc. It's just, I don't know. I
used to be down, but the movement's gotten kind of crazy. Yeah. I just call them the Snide Boys. I just call them the Snide Boys now. Yeah.
I don't count you as a Snyder bro. I think of the Snyder Bros as that, like, you can't have anything positive. You can't say anything positive. This isn't my Superman. All that garbage that I see on a regular basis. You are a Snyder fan. You were a Snyder fan before
I was
DC, and despite I know you haven't been thrilled with some of the output after DC, but like I still count you as a Snyder's work.
That cartoon still haunts me. That cartoon scene still like it changed me. Like I'm just haunted now. I was just like, what is happening?
I can't help but think that he has some kinks, and I'm like, can you not share that with us?
No, definitely. And I'm not here to kink shame nobody. Hey, it's good to be a freak, but like, yeah, we don't need to know that much about each other. That's my new thing.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
We know way too much about each other in this society now. And that's why I keep saying that social media will one day be looked at as the cigarette of our time.
Oh, for sure.
Like, yeah, we know way too much about each other. I do not want to know this much about y'all. Oh my God. Like, oof. That's why I can't half these trials and stuff. I can't even listen. Like, I'm 30 seconds. It's like tap out, tap out. I'm out. I know way too much about you now. Like, yeah. Anyway, so that's why we keep this podcast. You guys can listen for 7 years and you will never learn too much about me. I promise you. We will keep it all on the content, baby. All right. So anyway, now that we're done talking about that, we're getting speaking about freaks. We got to talk about 28 years later and all that stuff. Do we have any other kind of? Oh wait, I had another story in here. All right, this was late breaking, so let's just touch on it real quick. We got a list of potential Bond directors this morning. They dropped like right when we were coming on the show, and it is a weird list. So I just thought I'd throw it out here. Here's what we're hearing. This is from Jeff Schneider, the In Schneider. Shout out to Jeff Schneider, longtime veteran, say what you will. I have a lot of respect for Jeff Schneider because he is one of those last old school grizzled reporters and, the bastardly newsroom kind. And that's the kind of shout out, go sign up for the Schneider Report. If you want to get some crazy stuff, you can always argue about too. All right. That's my free pitch for the day. My free sales pitch. And this is a wide-ranging list. We're hearing Edward Berger, Denis Villeneuve, Edgar Wright, Jonathan Nolan, and Paul King. So, like I said, that is so Edward Berger did Conclave, the kind of Academy Award-winning Conclave. So he's kind of a hot commodity right now. He did All Quiet on the Western Front. We know Denny did, Dune, Sicario, things like that. If you've seen Sicario, you know why. It would be a different kind of Bond film. That would be like, what's his name? Sam. What's his name? Oh, man. The Javier Bardem one. The American Beauty guy. What's his name? Who made American Beauty? He was like the guy we thought. Anyway.
Oh,
yeah, he's really fallen off, man. Like I forget. Anyway, Sam Mendes. Thank you. All in the Game. Yeah, All in the Game over on YouTube. Sam Mendes, who we all thought in the 2000s was going to be like the next, the next Francis Ford Coppola or whatever. But he's kind of really fallen off. Anyway, so that would be more kind of an art house James Bond movie, obviously, if they gave to Denis. Who else was in here? Edgar Wright was the most surprising one, I think. That's the one that would actually get me up and be like, holy crap, like that's kind of wild, like if they do that. Because if you know Edgar Wright, he made the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead and all that, but he did Baby Driver, which was probably our close comparison with Edgar Wright. And he also did. I froze. Am I freezing?
Okay. You're okay now.
You're good.
Yeah, I made the mistake of opening a certain site that is freezing my computer now, but we won't talk about what that site is or how we got to it. But yeah, so I should be okay now once I just close said site. Yeah, so I think Edgar Wright out of that list was like the most surprising to me. Jonathan Nolan is probably the most solid choice. And Jonathan Nolan did Westworld and some other stuff. But what did you guys think? Anything on that list jump out at you? Do you guys care? Are you guys still in it for Bond at all? I'm
really not super invested in the Bond stuff anymore, but it's not that I won't see it when it comes out. It's just like I'm rolling with it. I don't.
Oh, I got hit up. Oh. Sorry. You know what? All in the game is correct. I gotta eat crow. Here's me eating crow. Sam Mendes directed 1917, which is one of the finest war films I have ever seen and one of my favorite films of the last few years. So that's me losing brain cells and starting to get dementia. But yes, 1917 is one of the finest war films. If you have not seen that, go out and watch that. But go to the bathroom first. You can't have anything in the old tense sphincter because that movie does not let you relax from the moment it starts. And it's one tracking shot. It's crazy. Wow. So yes. And it's about, if you don't know what it's about World War I, II, about a soldier who has to cross enemy lines and trenches to get a message to his brother before a surprise attack the next morning, telling his brother's regiment to stand down. And so obviously stakes are high, and it's two young soldiers who have to go through the trenches and enemy lines, and it's just tracking their journey from point A to point B, and one of the finest war films ever made. So Sam Mendes is great director, but this had nothing to do with anything. I was just saying Denis Villeneuve would be like,
he's not in the list.
Yeah, no, but if he came back and did a Bond film, I wouldn't be mad at that because his Bond film was pretty good. It's the one with Javier Bardem. I keep calling it. Skyfall. He did Skyfall, which is probably the last great Bond film.
One of the most celebrated ones. So I mean, you can't go wrong with there. I don't have a hard opinion on any of these choices because I think they're all good. They're all good. I'd be okay with it. What I do find, I think my favorite would kind of be Wright, just because I would like to see him, number one, come back into a big like franchise like that, but also just like I would be really curious to see what he could do with all the trappings of Bond as well as the main character. But I think this break because of Daniel Craig's kind of bringing his era to a close, and then the sale, and then the franchise, and how it's kind of been, before Amazon just got total control, was kind of this back and forth thing, and it was kind of lost in development hell. I think this is actually a good break for Bond, because like right now I'm actually excited for that First Light game, because it's just giving me something different from Bond than I've seen in a while. And while I like the Daniel Craig era, I'm okay with kind of like, it's going to be at least probably 2 more years before we get whatever this Bond movie is going to be. I think that'll be a nice break. Like, you put some Bond things like in other media outside of this, and then really start to ramp up the marketing thing for this Bond's big return and all that. I'll be in. I think this is good for Bond, for at least for me. My enthusiasm for Bond has never gone completely the other way, but it has waned over the course of the last few years. And so I think this is good. I'll be ready for a new Bond when it hits.
I think you get Edgar Wright, and I think you get somebody like the team from Archer or something, and you do Bond, and you bring it back less serious and bring it back to a fun semi-winking place. Like, ironically enough, Bond in like Austin Powers now feels like a more genuine James Bond movie for our era than a spoof, because James Bond's become somewhat self-parody in this super suave, I can slap a woman then kiss her kind of type of deal. Like, that whole thing it's now self-parody in this day and age, right? So like and I think the last Daniel Craig films were dealing with that in a very serious way. Like, this character is outdated, his modes are outdated, like, all of that. But I think there's a way to kind of do it in a fun way that is like, yeah, we know this guy is a little anachronistic, but we still love, what he does, and we still love this era, even if we understand it in a different kind of winking way. So like, I think you can have fun with it and not make it parody or comedy, but let Bond in like his super spy stuff be fun, and don't try to make it hard hitting, grounded reality, make it heightened reality. Like Sean Connery, he's just pointing and shooting at the screen and guys are falling off the balconies and all that. Like, with his tiny little gun, do all that and have fun with it. And like, let's just enjoy it. This should be kind of, like I said, heightened reality spy. Again, something like Kingsman, I feel like got it more right than Bond has been getting it. Yeah. But they got the nature of that line between like action, funny, light, heightened reality, kind of spy action. So I think we need to take Bond back in that direction. So yeah. All right. But interesting list. Oh God, it's an hour and we should take a break probably. Come back. I got a couple movie reviews. We got to talk some comics. Well, not me, because I realized this week, I went in to go in my DC books and they told me seats taken. I've been barred. Clark, I've been barred. All right, we're going to take a break. We got to come back. We got to talk about movies. I hope you enjoyed our fancy music. We are
very
yes, we are very classy operation over here. That was Cinema Nation, and appropriate because we are jumping into two cinematic offerings from two cinematic auteurs. First up, we're going to talk about 28 Years Later. I got to go out and check out 28 Years Later this week, and as I can say, I was surprised by 28 Years Later. I will say it's one of the more surprising experiences I've had. This movie is far less a sequel than it is a soft reboot, which I think we all should have guessed because it is titled 28 Years Later. So off the bat, that's already separating you from virtually everything that happened in the first two films because of the span of time. So what this movie is about, and I'm kind of getting my thoughts together on this because I think I've seen this. I saw Bring Her Back this year. I saw Smile 2 last year. And I think we're getting into this era where we're seeing this emerging thing of Gen Z's kind of horror lane, which I would call emo horror, and that's not an insult. Emo horror for these kids basically is any story dealing with the trauma of emotional trauma, like whether that's anxiety, depression, all of these things, or just disillusionment because the world isn't turning out the way you thought it would. This is a common theme in a lot of these movies. I think it started even with like Ari Aster and something like what's that movie? with Florence Pugh. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Oh my God, what's the stupid Ari Aster movie with Florence Pugh?
I love Kofi's references that like we're just like, what is he talking about?
Midsommar.
That freaky film, yeah.
Yeah, but that's also, it's in broad daylight, but what is it about? It's about emotional trauma, right? It's about Florence Pugh, and the horror of it for watching it for you is not is somebody getting killed. It's more so like, oh my God, this girl's having an anxiety attack. I know what that's like. I know like what that feels like and all of that. 28 years later, is Danny Boyle and Alex Garland really kind of leaning into this kind of new age of horror? They're the ones who made 28 Days Later, which was very much about kind of society at the turn of the century in the 21st century and all the conflicts we were seeing all over the world. And, you know, from the Bush era here to everything else that was happening in the Middle East. And, you know, the anxiety that it could all lead to calamity, right? This is a post-COVID movie for COVID babies and Gen Z. This is about a father and son who are living on this island, isolated place that's been kept safe from the infection because it's through this straightaway. It's a historic British place. There's a whole thing about it in the movie. But the kid, Alfie Williams, who's freaking wonderful in this, is Spike. He's a 12-year-old kid, so he's about to turn 13. And this is a story about his coming of age, where he has to go out to the mainland with his dad, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and go for his first hunt of the infected. And that's where the story begins. But when he gets to the mainland, they find things are very different. There's this weird thing happening with this guy named Jimmy, whose name is written across everything. There's this thing with the alpha, the infected have evolved, and there's a whole storyline about that. So there's different types now. The fat, slow ones that you see. There's the alpha, who's like this unkillable, super smart, super fast thing that can hunt you down and stuff like that as you see him running through the water there. And so it's about what happens when the thing, but the real story here that they don't tell you in the trailers is about this kid learning about his parents, his home, and the disillusionment, that the deep disillusionment that comes with that. Learning that his parents are these imperfect, kind of broken people living in this hellscape, that the outside world really is hell, and his little community is just this isolated little bubble and all of that. And it's about what happens when he finds all of this out and how he kind of has this breakdown that makes him do this drastic action that makes him run off and run away. And so that's what the movie's really about. And so it's a heavy movie, and I don't think a lot of people are kind of processing it quite yet, but it's about the kids who are being raised now in the post-COVID, like all the things they've seen, right? My son is a COVID baby, so this one really did hit me hard. There was a part in this movie, and I was just sitting in the theater because I wasn't expecting it to be like family drama, but there is just like a whole thing about this kid, like, you know, freaking out, learning again, like, about the world as the world sucks now, and like his parents aren't dealing with it necessarily in the best ways, and like he's got to figure out that eventually he's got to stand up on his own too, and just like his generation is going to have to fend for themselves because the generations above them have left him a pretty effed up world, and that's kind of what this movie's about. So it's not a happy subject matter, and Alex Garland is, you know, Alex Garland's pretty deep cutting writer, and so there, a lot of this isn't said. This is part one. A lot of this is very short story-ish. There's not a lot of dialogue necessarily because it's like them hunting or running around the island and doing stuff. But yeah, it's deep, and it's they set up a very much larger world of this that's not fully explained in this film. So it is a part one. I will tell you that. It's very much a part one of a planned trilogy. But the things they set up are very interesting in this world, and it's a very different type of horror story because it's not just, if you've seen the other two films, they are like minute to minute to minute to minute running survival, trying to stay ahead of those fast zombies. This is very different. It's amazing to see people go back and watch the original 28 Days Later, and I've seen a lot of people posting a Soldier Boy meme about Walking Dead, saying, "Wow, Walking Dead, they stole this whole flow, line for line, bar for bar." Like, yeah, Walking Dead stole a lot from 28 Days Later, guys. Like, I hate to tell you this, but yeah, that whole premise, yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, the end of this movie in 28 years later, there's some messed up stuff that happens. Like, this movie's whole sense of like what horror is post all of this happening is so messed up. And you just watch some stuff and you're just like, I can't believe I'm watching this, but the characters, for them, it's like normal. And it's just, yeah, it's nuts. So also the way it's made is pretty nuts. Like, it's very hyper. Things were shot on iPhone camera rigs that they put around people. So these shots are like crazy. You've never seen the
weird.
Yeah, the alpha scenes are nuts when you see it from the alpha's perspective and stuff. It's pretty wild. And if you've seen earlier Danny Boyle films, Train Spotting, 28 Days Later, like, he likes these hyper kinetic cuts to other stuff. And there's a lot of weird filmmaking choices in this, but I dug it. There's like a whole subplot where they just keep showing you night scenes and night vision of the infected, like running around, this tribe of infected, like eating a deer and like killing things and doing stuff. And it cuts back to this constantly. But it's weird stuff like that in this movie. And Ralph Fiennes shows up and just eats this whole thing. Like, he just shows up and eats it all. Just insane character that he plays. Yeah, I really dug it. And yeah, I can't wait to see The Boneyard in January. Nia DaCosta directed the next part, and I'm back in. This world is crazy. And this was uncomfortable for several different reasons the whole time. All right, so that's 28 years later. I say go see it. I don't think, but if you're really kind of like, do I have to see it? You don't have to. You can see it on later on, I'm sure. But I dug it, and I dug being in the theater, seeing this one. But if I'm going to really be honest with you, and there's like a theatrical experience you need to have, it's got to be the next film, and that's F1. So at the end of last episode, Janelle kind of soft pried it out of me to give a unsanctioned review of F1.
That's right.
And but I got away with it. They didn't bust me. And I had good things to say. So I know Janelle is very much a fan of the F1 sport. Did you see the video I tagged you in on Twitter? Because they were, yeah. You must have me muted. You're outing yourself or something. Like,
you must have me muted.
Like,
oh, you are muted though.
Now you're muted. Yeah, this is not helping your case.
Muted yourself.
Okay, sorry. No, yes, I don't have you muted, but I legit am so bad on Twitter because Twitter scares me. Honestly, like,
you should be.
I just checked my comments and I saw that you tagged me, and then I didn't watch it because I was traveling last week.
It was addressing the question about age. Brad Pitt was talking about age and F1 and driving. He was addressing the question you had asked as a fan of the sport, like, how is his old ass even in this movie driving? Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, so I can say now that F1 is directed by Joseph Kosinski, the guy who did Oblivion and Top Gun Maverick. And if you thought what he did with Top Gun Maverick in those aerial scenes was crazy, he's able to do much of the same thing for F1 driving and those cars. So the story is about Brad Pitt being a guy named Sonny Hayes, who used to be the young star of F1 until he kind of washed out, and now just kind of goes around the world thrill seeking. He drives whatever, like he just joins different. In the beginning, he's in a NASCAR race that he helps win, and then he just kind of bugs out. But he's not really chasing anything except trying to be the ultimate driver. So he became like a cab driver in New York, all this stuff. But he's called back in by his friend Javier Bardem, who plays this guy named Ruben, who owns a team that's like one of the newest and therefore lowest rated teams in the sport. And to hold on to the team, he has to win at least or place not last and have the team be contenders by the end of the season. And so he brings in Brad Pitt's character because he has this hot young driver named Joshua, who's played by Damson Idris. But the kid's just like all power, speed, in like all of this. Whereas Brad Pitt's this older lion who doesn't have the body for it anymore, but he has the mind for it. He knows the sport in and out. He knows the cars in and out. He knows the rules in and out. And so it's all about him trying to form a team with Damson Idris so they can work together to accomplish his goal. So I think what it did for me, aside from sports action and actually having awesome scenes and camera rigs and shot in IMAX and really putting you in the car and making you feel like you're in there, was it gave me more respect for F1 and F1 teams and there's actual, like, oh, it's just like you get on a track, you go circles, you go fast. And it's like, no, there's tons to it that the movie really does a good job of putting you into and highlighting, from the pit crews and like what that, what's that?
NASCAR is just in circles.
Yeah, right. And it's just like, but even that, it's just like there's strategies to that. There's teams. There's a reason that there's teams. They can work together. The old Ricky Bobby shake and bake, things like that. Like, that's real stuff. The pit crews and their drama and the milliseconds of time and shaving milliseconds of time and all of that. The aerodynamics, like Kerry Condon plays like the team car designer who used to work for NASA. They grabbed her from NASA so she could shave off milliseconds of wind resistance and all that. And so they get into all of that and they don't shy away from that. This doesn't dumb down the sport to be like a movie. You know what I mean? Like, there are significant subplots like, we got to add this kit to the car because we need a war car, not a speed car, and like all of that. We need something that can bump, move, do all this. And so there's significant things like that. Then they also make it sexy with the character acting and the romance between Pitt and, Condon, and the bromance between Pitt and Idris and all that. And so there's a scene at them at a poker table and like all of that stuff works. And it's just a good, what you would expect from a sports drama movie, right? So with great action. So yeah, it made me have a lot more respect. I might even start watching some F1. Like, it was kind of dope. And yeah, I took my dad to see it. He had a great time. And like I said, from the technical points to just actual kind of that, if not formulaic, we meet, we bump, we start to come together, we have a big falling out. It all looks like it's gone. Then we pull it together at the end. That's all the same. Okay, no surprises there, but like I said, go see this in IMAX, because for me, it's just become about premium theatrical experience. Spielberg and them are right.
Yeah,
like, I just want to, if I'm going to pay the money, I want to pay the money to see something that I can't see at home. And so far, Sinners, Mission Impossible, and F1 have all delivered that. So
you can also watch Drive to Survive. It's on Netflix, and that's pretty cool. And you get to know the drivers. Obviously, it's like a quote unquote reality type thing, following the drivers, but like the actual drivers with F1. But it's still awesome. Like, I love it.
No, it's a good recommendation. So yeah, good movies out in theaters this week. If you want to go check something out, I would say 28 is a matinee. F1 is your premium, but go see that. Matt, let's talk comics.
Woo woo! You actually made me, by the way, want to see 28 Years Later.
Me too. It looks great.
It's gonna mess you up as a parent. It really. There's the most shocking scene in this movie. Made me squirm in my seat because the thought of it's a family drama thing. It's not a horror thing. Was so massively uncomfortable to me that I just had to like put my head between my knees. I was like,
see, that's what scares me. That's what scares me. I mean, look, I play Resident Evil games. I can handle the off-looking zombies and the crazy, like, okay, cool. Like, I can handle that. It's not what I prefer, but I can handle it. That family stuff though,
this is complicated family drama stuff from the beginning. And once you figure out what's going on early on, you're like, oh, this is like, yeah.
Okay, comics.
Well, let's get into some other complicated drama. And we're going to, it's been a minute since we checked in on comics, number one for a variety of reasons. But Absolute Superman was the last one that kind of I believe we all three were able to read, catch up on, that kind of thing. We didn't go into too much detail on it. And so I wanted to follow back here because this was really kind of our first. We've had first looks at Roz. I say Roz. I'll go. I know some say Raish. I say Roz because I say
Roz too. Okay.
I say Roz.
So this was kind of our real first look at Roz in action and just like showing just how lethal this guy is. It was very Kingpin-esque. I got a lot of Kingpin vibes from that moment. And then we also, to me, was kind of the stars of the show here were, and the cover says it all. It's kind of bringing together that trio of Superman, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen in a very different way, in a very different dynamic, but you still got those kind of hallmarks of the camaraderie and the sniping back and forth, and they're from two different camps. But obviously when Superman is involved and Superman is in kind of a really bad position, they shine. They still, even in this current climate and the way they are and where they come from, they still shine. So I really dug those. But what did you guys think? I'm more curious to see what you guys thought. Janelle, you caught up on 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
And I honestly can't I can't distinguish between the two at this point, because I've just kind of like I just went right into it, which was a beautiful process, by the way. It feels so good to be able to read them back to back, because like there was like a massive cliffhanger and I'm like, wait, what? Gosh, I like hurt for this Superman. He is so damaged. He is so damaged. He is so about to just like having like a panic attack. He is so negative. He's just not. I love it. It's just so refreshing to have this type of Superman. And I don't think we got to like the nitty gritty of like his relationship with Lois or really like anything like that. But I didn't even need that, because it's just action packed and it makes you hate Peacemaker and Roz, and it just builds that tension, right? So well, all of the Peacemakers. And yeah, I think they're doing a really good job of just kind of like spreading out this story. There's not a lot happening, but there is. Like it's pretty cool. I'm still super enjoying this, and it's just getting it's just heavy. It's very heavy.
Kofi, this change your ranking?
No, I'm locked out. Like I said, I was locked out of DC, as I found out late last night. And only when I went to go, I got curled up and I was like, time to read. And I was like, oh, right. This again, behind the scenes, DC makes you prove your loyalty every so often before they let you back into the comics. So I have to do my loyalty test all over again. But no, I mean, Absolute Superman was cooking. When I read issue 8, I was really excited. I'm really excited to get into issue 9 and see like what this version of Ra's al Ghul is, after kind of getting him set up as arguably the big bad of the first big bad of this whole Ultimate universe, which we can also, if we want to go back and retroactively pause on Batman. Yeah, like beginning to see the strands of that Arc M, Bane, and kind of hints of who's controlling all this and how it's tied to Lazarus and all that. So yeah, I'm digging all. I think as we go on, and I'm less about ranking and more about kind of, at least in the initial wave of books, enjoying seeing them start to slowly come together.
Yeah.
But very indirect ways that are not, you have to be paying attention to kind of really begin to see like what is going on here, and the controlling organizations of this universe and who they are and where everything is flowing back to. But I'm liking to seeing the kind of slow interconnectivity. It's very MCU. Like we're getting each individual person in their world and little tiny hints here and there. So I'm done ranking them. I need all three, like of the initial book. Like I need them all working together, especially Superman and Batman. I'm very, very super curious about this Superman and Batman, because it seems like they're the first that are going to like,
they seem like on a direct collision course.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think they've been super smart about how they've been slow rolling this. And like there isn't some overt thing. I mean, honestly, Lazarus is like the most overt of all of the things, because you just know who's behind it. You go, okay, one day Batman, and that's going to have to come into play at some point. But I just think they've been very good about siloing each one and getting you to understand their world. And so when they do kind of come together, I'm super excited for the first moment where we get both of those guys reacting to Wonder Woman. Like the way they have defined Wonder Woman in the Absolute universe, I'm just so excited to see like what this Superman does and what that Batman does, to where like, I don't know. I'm imagining it's just going to be kind of some like awe-inspiring moment where they first interact, because she is just, there's so much aura to this Wonder Woman, just
and magic, and it's the magic part. Like so that's cool. Gonna throw both of those guys like for a loop. Magic is gonna be, oh yeah, and it's just I like, and I'm interested to see in this new issue is like there's an element to Lazarus that is traced through like Bane and this little sketches of the Joker we're getting, where it's like this whole body horror version of this whole resurrection process, which is very interesting to me because it's not like it is in the main universe, where it's like you get green goo on you and then you're like rejuvenated. No, like Bane's whole Venom transformation, whatever Joker's doing, like sucking life out of babies and like all of this stuff. And what we see, Ra's coming out of the pool and Superman, like there's a very much a body horror element to this.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of interested to see how this kind of all comes together. But yeah, no, I'm going to go read Superman once I get reapproved, but I'm digging that. And I'm also digging what's happening in the second wave, which is kind of like between Martian Manhunter and GL, these sketches of what like alien life is in this world beyond Superman and just how freaky some of that stuff is. So yeah, I mean, I got a stump for absolute DC.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Brywood brought up New Gods. New Gods is also excellent. If anyone's not reading that, that is fantastic as well. I want to jump into a book that launched this week, which is right along with the Summer of Superman theme, Krypto, the Last Dog of Krypton.
Of course we do.
Look, here's the thing. You can read my full review on Comic Book if you want to hear a whole soliloquy about it, but this is the number one. It's Ryan North. I'm always a big fan of Ryan North. And this fills in. This isn't while it starts with kind of the origin story, as it were. A lot of people are kind of familiar with like, Krypto, how kind of he ends up on Earth, but then there's kind of this gap, because a lot of times it's just kind of glossed over and it's like, oh yeah, okay, so he was here and then Superman got here and hey, they reunite and it's this big thing, right? And so like that's kind of what happens a lot of times with Krypto's story after that initial impact. And here it's like, okay, well, why don't we take a look at like that time and what it's like for Krypto? And I think the smartest choice they made was, I'm all for, like, I love animated movies that put you into the minds of the animals and like have them fully voiced and stuff, like Secret Life of Pets, all those kinds of movies. I love those, right? Because I love hearing their thoughts and personalities. But here they really went with like, hey, everything has to be read through expression, because Krypto's not going to talk. He's a dog. So you're not going to, and they've even said like, they're not going to cheat and do like his thought bubbles and like, oh, here's what he's thinking. No, it's all played like he's a dog reacting to things that people are saying. So it's all done through expression. And I thought they did such a great job. Like there's so many times where you really feel like you can see how Krypto is feeling after something is said or after a moment. And it's just it comes across to me way more genuine and authentic, because you kind of had to look and really pay attention to those little things. And it pays off to me in a bigger way, as opposed to him just thinking it and being like, oh, this is what I'm feeling and this is what I'm thinking. That's, it's great and I love that, but I thought they really went the extra mile here to kind of sell that little bit of authenticity factor to him just being a dog. And those moments that really happen, the heartwarming ones and also the scary ones, pay off so much better because of that. It's executed so well. I thought they did such a good job of that. And also there's a fun twist at the end. So
it's fun.
I mean, fun. Harrowing has been, whatever. I mean, whatever your sauce there, but
it was actually emotional. I feel like this book was sad. Like it upset me because I'm a dog owner. So yeah, it got me in my feels for sure.
I was very curious to see what you thought, because the way Krypto ends up on Earth, I thought they did a really good job of like selling that and understanding like the impact it not only has on obviously Krypto, but the owners and they establish it. I thought that, yeah, I was very curious to see what you thought.
It was like very upsetting to listen to the mom and dad like trying to like listen to see them going, it's okay. God, it's sad. It's sad. If you're a pet owner, if you love your pet and your pet is like your child, it's sad.
I understand completely. So
yes,
I think it is a very much a worthwhile read.
Well done. Very well done.
Yeah. So if you are looking for extra Superman content, also Superman Unlimited #2 is out. There's no shortage of Superman stuff. And also Superman, I believe 26 of the main series is also out. Again, all the Superman titles are hitting. Supergirl #2 also just came out, and that's fantastic too. So like you should go read the Superman family of titles. I think they are some of the strongest collection of books that DC has right now. And that's weighing in the Bat family that always has like 90 books, weighing in everything else. I think the Superman family books are going the hardest right now, in a great way. Kofi, was there anything you wanted to touch on Marvel side? I'm just
no,
curious.
I love Kofi's.
There's only one book I'm talking about this week, and that's, as the comments have already said, Avengers or Aliens versus Avengers. That's the only thing. And none of the main universe Marvel stuff is hitting for me. I'm not going to get in here and get too insulting about it, but like, yeah, I think main universe Marvel is lost. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I think they need new direction, new editing, new publishing, new editor-in-chief. Like, the books are just not great. They're not hitting. And we've left some good stuff behind for some of this weird stuff we're into now. The Doom event has been one of the weakest in years. We've had so many years of good events. We've had like King in Black, even the thing with Khonshu going nuts, even the thing with what we just did before this with Blade and the vampires, all of that. Like, we were talking about Marvel crossover events being like good again. This Doom stuff has been the weakest sauce I've seen. Like, nobody's talking about it. There's no cohesiveness to it. Like, it's not even an event. Like, it's just all the X-Men relaunch. I'm sorry. Like, I love a lot of the creators, but it's just not good. It's boring.
Yeah.
There's
that's
no purpose.
My biggest thing right there is
like,
that I think it's boring.
Yeah. And at a time when you're trying to get the movies and stuff back, this is not the time to be dropping that ball. You need the foundation to be there with the comics. But, a lot of the prestige stuff they're doing, like, is working. The alt universe stuff, basically anything Hickman's involved in is pretty good. Aliens vs. Avengers this week was another. Every time I pick up this book, it's exactly what I want. It's like an alien movie with Marvel characters thrown in the mix. People die. There's stakes. The artwork is gorgeous. And the developments and how they're playing with the lore is nuts. Sinister turning himself into a xenomorph is nuts. But, like, I love it. And so that book is killing it. Like, Aliens versus Avengers is just a great prestige book. So I want to highlight that again this week because this was like one of those Infinity Gauntlet 4 issues where some of your favorite heroes go at it and make the ultimate sacrifice. So pick that up if you're going to read Marvel. That's it.
I'm going to end us on a positive note as far as the comics and graphic novels, and a fun, whimsical note. Rich, if you can put Punk Taco on the screen, I am very excited for this. Okay, so this is I just wanted to give a little spotlight to something. I cover a lot of graphic novels and especially kid stuff. This is literally a new set of stories in actually the Punk Taco universe from Paper Cuts, and this is a father-son writing team that handles this, and they've been making Punk Taco things for a while, but this is the new set of stories. This will come actually with bonus stories as well. This is about a lovable space taco who rocks out across the universe with his band, and they make music and they have fun adventures against battling the King Booger. And I just want to put that out there because stuff like this makes me happy. And I love that this stuff is being published and it's a literal space taco. I love tacos and I love space. So when you put the two together, it's amazing. I also love that it's a father-son team. There's always something about I've recently had the chance to also talk to Taboo and his daughter, and that piece will be going live probably in the coming days about their work on Dora, right? Like, so there's a lot of things. I love when parents are able to do things with their kids in this kind of creative capacity. It's really cool. You should definitely check it out. If it's this will be on sale. This is actually already on sale. So you can check this out. And I just wanted to give a little spotlight because I love fun kid stuff. This is one of those things you can literally, like, your kid's gonna see and go, what the heck is that? And you're gonna go, space tacos. I love it. I just want to spotlight a little something there really cool right now from Paper Cuts. There you go. That's how I want to end our comic segment. And I'm gonna launch into my agenda. But Janelle, do you need the bounce?
I'm gonna dip out, but
okay.
I loved this conversation. This was such a fun day. I'll see you guys soon.
All right, catch you later. So one thing I do wanted to talk about here is there's a lot going on in the universe, which is a card game system that has now kind of encapsulates a bunch of franchises, many of which Kofi loves. Attack on Titan is the most recent set. It's actually, they just released Attack on Titan Apocalypse, which is kind of they've had 2 other sets before. This is kind of bringing everything in from the finale and all that into this 3rd and final set. There's Clash decks that bring some of your favorite heroes, where you can just go ahead and buy that deck and just play right out of the box. I played with Levi and Mikasa. I think the Mikasa Clash deck is actually probably my favorite of those, but the new set has all these super rare booster cards that you can add to your deck. There's all kinds of new character cards that you can lead your decks with. I like some of the new foundations, and some of the new attacks are really fun. You can really, this latest booster set really allows for for you kind of to expand your attacks. That they have a new attuned system that really like lets you have flexibility in how you create your decks and all that. So I really dug that. And Rich, if you can do the roadmap 2025 trailer to kind of give you a sense of how big this universe is becoming. This one, at this point in time, they already have Attack on Titan. They already have My Hero Academia. They've had Solo Leveling, but throughout this year, they're also adding Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the mix. I believe that comes in August. They've done Critical Role. They've done several Godzilla decks. And they've also got a Street Fighter 6 deck coming up later this year. And the thing is, like, they really like embrace everything about the franchise when they do a set. And as you can see right here, the Attack on Titan one looks dope. All of the ones except for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Street Fighter are already out, and you can mix and match. So you can literally have a game where you're playing Godzilla versus Levi from Attack on Titan, or you're going to be able to play with like Chun-Li versus Deku. Like, you can do that. You can mix and match, and they're all part of the same universe, and they all have the same kind of core mechanics. They all add different things, but they have the same core mechanics. So like, this year is huge for universes. This one is a 1v1 type of fighting game where you have your deck, and what's key about this is kind of how you utilize the cards, and there's always kind of a weight and a cost to attacking. So you want to make sure that when you attack your opponent, you've actually, number one, have enough resources to where you can pull off that attack. They can block that attack, but there's also a number of, like, you can enhance an attack, and they can also enhance and negatively affect yours. So there's this really like interesting back and forth that happens with every single attack. And it's like every attack is kind of an event. It's not just like, oh, I play this card and it does 2 damage to you. Every attack is like this kind of almost like little cinematic fight, and then you resolve it, and then you kind of move on with the turn. So like, it really kind of brings up that big action packed, it brings a cinematic element to the fights that I really dig. And then if you can bring up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles specific trailer, I'm very excited for this, because this one embraces all of the mutant mayhem. That is the core art style for this new card game. You're going to get all the 4 main turtles. You're going to get all these other side characters as well to play as and to add to your deck. But what's also great is they're embracing the entire franchise. So there's cards in this set that mimic the 80s the original cartoon. There's ones that mimic like things from the like several other versions of the Turtles. All of it's mixed in. And what's really cool is there's even like stuff from the toys and action figures and things. They've mixed all of those in. So this really feels kind of like a celebration of Turtles. And there's even green ooze like rarity cards. So like, they're actually going to have like this kind of special ooze like foil to them. Super cool. Like, if you're a fan that is of Turtles, I think you're gonna really dig this. And the core gameplay is really fun. With Attack on Titan, they kind of streamlined a lot of the rules and approach, so you can learn how to play this game pretty fast. It is a trading card game, and you can buy boosters, but the way they release that, it's not as like there's going to be multiple sets. Like Attack on Titan, there's 3 sets, right? And for some of these other ones, because I saw in the comments talking about like the ongoing releases of the game, for this one, the way their schedule is, like, there's not going to be like, I feel like sets on sets for like years and years and years. Like they typically have kind of a beginning and end point, and then they move on to the next thing, or they do a different iteration. So like this is also not one where it's like you sink all your money into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then you're just going to be like, oh my God, I got to keep up with the new set 2 months from now, or the next set for 2 months from now. There's going to be probably at least 1 more, if not 2 more sets, and then it'll be like done. And then they move on, right? Like My Hero is kind of the only one that's continued to really have continuous sets. So I like the release strategy too. So definitely want to give a spotlight to universes there. I believe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be hitting in August. Street Fighter 6 is coming later this year too, but I can't remember the exact date on that. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was another fun game that I played with my kiddo. Me and Ember, she sees a game, especially one that has a super cute art style, and she wants to try it out. And so we played Mookie Island, which is looks like kind of like these Pokemon-esque character designs. It's a really fun, simple to learn card game. It's got these big oversized cards. They're double-sided, so they each have different kind of creatures on them. And you're essentially trying to collect as many. There's like 5 different types, right? So there's moon, sun, leaf, and then water. And so and then I think there's one more. I forget what the other one is called. It's the little dinosaur paw right there that you can see on the screen. But essentially you're trying to collect, kind of have the most in each category, and then you win one of those fun little trophies. And whoever has the most stars at the end wins. Straightforward premise, but the cards themselves are like really big. They're beautiful. And then there's also ones that are worth more points, and they're all super shiny and stuff. This is like perfect for if you're looking for a game that is, you want to introduce games to your kids. This is a perfect one. It doesn't take very long. They're going to like the art anyway. There's an extra element that are spiders that can like take away points from the opponent. And we played with both. And so like you can add that in if you want, but I would say like for the first time playing with, especially with a younger kid, like maybe take that out and just make it kind of a fun cooperative, like not cooperative, but like straight up experience without that kind of negative part in it. Otherwise though, really dug this. This is out now as well. So for the kiddos and for anyone just looking to have a little fun time, Mookie Island is out right now. That is my agenda.
Okay, that's Matt's agenda. There was a lot to that. Sorry. But that'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. We want to thank you guys all for waking up for us, everybody in the live chat, and everybody who downloads later or watches us on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in as well. We will be back next week, where I found out F1 actually comes out. So that's 2 weeks of promotion F1 is getting out of me before it even hits theaters. So good for you. Yeah. But hey, man, I don't see movies like the normies anymore. I can't tell when the times are. I just see them when I see them.
This is the only movie that's gotten 3 reviews.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But thank you guys again. We hope you guys check out some good content on the small screen, the big screen, or in the pages of some comics. We will be back. Shout out to Janelle, who had to depart and take care of her son. I got to get out of here and take care of all my sons. And by all that, I mean all on the internet, not my real kids. And then shout out to Matt too.
So be it.
Who's got his own pop stuff to do. Oh, you want to get into some clip stock? We can go there. We can talk about it. I've been playing in the background all morning. I just didn't think this was going to be Rap Nation today. But the clips are back. Pharrell's back. We are so back. Yeah, so be it. So be it. We are like, I've just been putting that on replay. I can't stop. It's crazy to think that, you know, you think about it now and you're like, Pusha T's been out here just holding it down, and it's clips at 50% power for all these years.
Nuts.
And they still
years.
Still nice. And yeah, I'm gonna fire that up right now. So I'm gonna go and play this song. I'm gonna bump out to this because yeah, about to be lit. I'm excited. So this has been Rap Nation. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. 16 square, 8 million up there, 2 million down here. Let's go. Check it out. We out.